I'm, just like Chris said, giving Chris the money from that policy. So therefore, my insurance policy is like the bank, but at least that money that Chris is putting to work for me is also growing inside the policy, and there's also tax benefits by it going through the policy as well. I am nowhere near an expert on this. I've read the books. I've read your book. I'm talking to you right now. I listen to the podcast, and we just try to. What you've done so methodically is you've broken it down to as simple as we possibly can, because it is kind of like, um, it's not that it's black and white, but there's just tough to. You're not learning this in school. You're not learning this inside education. You're not. So the only way you're learning this is through a trusted advisor and counsel, and not everyone has that. I know if I went to anyone in my family and talked about this, they're like, "What are you talking about, man? Just stop. We don't know what you're talking about."
No, and it's not taught. It's actually fairly complex. If you look at how to put it all together, which is why we put the educational pieces together. And my motivation, people are like, well, why did you get? I was insurance. I'm sorry, I was licensed with as a life insurance agent with State Farm over 20 years ago. I got relicensed during COVID. One, because I had some downtime, and two, because when I learned about this concept, I learned that my agent hadn't taught this to me. Even though he'd structured one of these bank on yourself or infinite banking policies for me, he didn't teach me how to use it as an investor. And when I told him what I was doing, you know what he said to me, Mike? I wish all my clients were doing this. And I was like, well, and I was like, I kind of pulled the phone away from my ear and I thought, well, why aren't they? And then I thought, well, why aren't you telling them this? So it kind of made me a little annoyed. And I said, well, hey, I need to be able to convey this to people. And then again, it's, life insurance gets a bad rap. I mean, I love the movie Groundhog Day. You got the guy chasing somebody down the road trying to sell life insurance. We don't try to sell life insurance. If it makes sense for you, great. If you need the insurance, we have a concept that you can put in place. And like you said, Mike, you take that money out. Did that affect the value of the insurance that you have in that policy? Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing. It basically pays for itself. And, over the right timeline, if you're investing for 10, 20 plus years, it's going to be something that adds a lot of value, not only to you, but also your family. And it's going to protect you. And again, my father died when I was 5. So I'm acutely aware of kind of the risks that are out there when it comes to those sorts of things.
And I want to make sure that this is double clicked on as well, because we're taking the money, the cash value from the policy to create more cash flow. So you own multiple car washes, you own these syndication deals and these commercial investment properties. Like you're finding these distressed debt type of commercial office buildings. So you're taking the cash value out of the policy and reinvesting it to create more cash flow. Because if it was a long-term investment sitting in the market, maybe it does grow. Maybe it does double every 9 years, doubles every 9 years, but you have to wait until you're 60, 65 and a half. Right. So what your strategy is, let me put this cash value to work for me now and making me some of those higher returns. I mean, some of those, Rachel was talking about some of the syndication deals on her episode are somewhere in that 12, 15, 18%, type of range, where if you can cash flow instead of cash flowing or instead of getting a double return, over the course of an 8% return, let's say, each year, and you can't touch the money, you can get a 15% or even 8% return, and you could touch the money within like 2 or 3 or 5 years. So if you could kind of speak to this, I'm probably not doing it great justice, but like this idea of cash flow investing, or the syndications, or the car wash and businesses, or any of that type of stuff.
Absolutely. So, this all goes hand in hand. It kind of goes hand in hand with this big flywheel, that we talked about with the life insurance. So, and I just got back from a mastermind where we literally focused on this for the last day we were there. And, you build this system, right, where your money, your income is flowing into your own bank, your policies, which it doesn't have to. It could just flow into your quote unquote opportunity fund, which may just be a checking or savings account, which is okay. Like if that's what you're comfortable with. But that money, again, I say you can't have true freedom without passive income, right? Like you can't eat your 401k. You can't even touch it without a penalty until you're 59 and a half. That doesn't, I have coaching clients. They're like, Chris, I got 7 figures in my 401k. I feel like I'm broke. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, you know? So that's really tough. So, we focus on cash flow investments. So our number one thing when we find an investment, Mike, especially if we're bringing in other investors through a syndication, is we want capital preservation. So we're looking for a safe, recession-resistant investment. Number 2, we want income, because if we're getting income, that is a return. If you get a check every month, you're getting a return on that money. If your capital is protected by a real investment, a real like inflation hedged asset, like a piece of real estate, like a multifamily asset or a car wash, you are getting an inflation resistant asset, and you're getting cash flow. And then number 3, appreciation. So, it's like, then we're going to try to forcefully increase the value of that. And people might say, how do you just, do you just stand in front of it and wish it goes higher? No, you improve the business. All these are businesses. And then the cool thing is everything that I've mentioned, everything, that we talk about in the Next Level Income community is wrapped in depreciation benefits. There's wrapped in tax benefits. So that's the other really nice thing that you can get out of this. But if you try to do this and you say, hey, I'm gonna use this strategy, I'm gonna put this, investment optimizer strategy or infinite banking strategy in place, and then I'm going to go buy a boat, or I'm going to buy a bunch of, cryptocurrency or NFTs and hope it goes up in value. That's probably not an optimal way to do it.
Speculation or, gambling.
Yeah, you typically, I wouldn't combine the strategy with speculative investments, because the key is you create additional income streams, and then those income streams flow back into your life insurance, which creates more value and more cash that you then can reinvest if you choose, and then you can kick that out.